everybody. I'm Larry Roberts.
And I'm Sarah Lucy, and this is Branded, your comprehensive guide to creative branding.
And on this awesome episode of the podcast, we have an amazing guest in the house. And Sarah, we talked about it this morning, she's going to do the intro.
I never do this. This is like a special moment for me. Today, we're joined by Liz Wilcox. She is the fresh princess of email marketing, and she's also a contestant on the current season of Survivor, which is crazy awesome. We're so glad that we have her here today. She's going to give us some awesome tips about email marketing and talk a little bit about what it's like to be a reality TV star, because you are that right now. That's crazy. So welcome, Liz. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey friends, I feel so honored to be on the show. I feel like I've made it. I feel like I've branded myself properly. We'll see at the end of the show if that depiction is still accurate for me.
Well, that's usually how we vet our guests. Is be like, have they been on reality TV? Do they have any? Are they on IMDb? Where are we at here? And
right,
you made the cut, so congratulations.
Rock on.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, we met back at PodFest because you are, like I said, the princess of email marketing. So you're really involved in that world. But how did you go from email marketing to I'm a contestant on Survivor?
Yeah. So actually, if I had never mastered email marketing, I wouldn't have been able to be on the show. So I grew up really poor. And I also grew up watching Survivor. You know, I'm mid to late 30s. So it came out when I was a kid. And, you know, it was just that phenomena of our culture. And I always knew I wanted to be on the show. And maybe this is a little cocky, or I always knew I would get on the show if I applied. I just knew that I was, I'm one of those weirdos that, they're going to want me for sure. There's reality TV, I feel like, and then there's Survivor. Like not a lot of people that would apply to Big Brother or, any kind of dating show would apply to, live on a deserted island with no food for a month, right? Like that takes a special person. And so I always knew I wanted to be on the show. I always just had this gut feeling that it wouldn't be a problem to get on the show, but I never applied because I grew up really poor. When I'm not married anymore, but when I got married, we still didn't have a lot of money. There was not a lot of financial stability. In order to go on a reality show, you kind of have to disappear from the world for, anywhere from a few weeks to a few months at a time, right? And with Survivor, I knew it was going to be at least 5 weeks I would have to disappear. And I was watching with my daughter. My daughter was, I think, 6 or 7 at the time. And, the host comes on and he says, want to apply? Is this your dream? Apply now type of stuff. And I said, gosh, I really think I could be on that show. I really think I would do well. And my daughter said, are you going to think about it or are you going to do it?
Oh,
and
threw down the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, she is a boss, even at, 7 years of age. So, I pull out my phone and I see somebody had canceled my 9 a.m. for the next day. And so I booked myself, true entrepreneur fashion, right? I booked myself and I said, I'm going to apply tomorrow. And she said, well, I'll believe it when you're on TV. But that whole story, it's awesome. Like I never would have.
She's going to be president one day.
She's going to be something. I mean, she already is something. She's going places. I don't know where it is, but it's straight to the top, wherever it is. She is a boss.
Her room.
Sure. Might be the White House, might be prison. We'll find out.
Right. Might be just to her room for the night for talking back. But anyway, she's a good kid. But I never would have applied had I not mastered my email marketing. So to Sarah's question about like, how did I go from this to that? If I would have had a typical 9 to 5, I'm a single mom, I support 3 households, taking that time off would be impossible, right? But because I own my own business, because it's branded super, super well, because the email marketing is dialed in, I was able to not only take 5 weeks off, I actually took 90 consecutive days off of work. And I was able to make, I think, over $1,000 a day while I was on the island, on top of whatever prize money I make, which is to be determined. No spoilers here.
I think at the time we're recording episode 16.
We're about to be on episode 7. So
6.
we're about
Okay.
halfway.
So I
we're
got
about
one of the
halfway
numbers
through the
right.
show. You're good. You're
Okay.
good. We're about halfway through the show right now.
Okay.
And I'm still there.
Yeah,
Yes, you are.
last night I think last night was the latest episode it came on, and I got caught up last night, and we're actually at that point where everybody just merged. So
Correct.
yeah. So that was interesting to see because we haven't seen a lot of you on the show, and it's
I know. I can't really say much about it right now, but I was there just as much as everyone else.
Well, it seems like it's like because you win, and they focus on the people who don't. Maybe
I hope Sarah's right. I hope.
I mean, like your team has been winning a lot, so
yeah,
our focusing more of the attention on the team that isn't.
Yeah, and this is kind of when as people with audiences, we tend to focus on the majority, right? Like the people that need the most help, right? And so with the edit, it's kind of the same. We were winning as a tribe. So if you're not familiar with Survivor, the first half of the game, you're in a tribe, which is pretty much the only time as a white person I can say I was part of a tribe. And so we won every one of our challenges. And so we never had to vote someone off. That's how the game is. You vote people off. You go to something called tribal council. And so there's not really been a lot of Liz, especially. This is such a good conversation for branding. In my business, I brand myself as I'm super loud and outgoing. And even during the casting process, they said, Liz, you don't seem like the type of person that could blend in if you tried. And so so going out on the island, I'm thinking, how am I going to brand myself? And I thought I was going to be this very loud, proud, the same person you see her today. But what I realized out there is there's already a lot of those. And when you're building your business, branding, part of branding is how can I stick out for my unique service or business, right? And so I was like, okay, well, I don't have to stick out by being loud. I can brand myself in a different way. And I kind of was trying to brand myself as being in the middle, which I think is to Larry's point about, we're not really seeing much of Liz. That is a very specific, particular, and intentional branding that Liz has done.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
I find it super interesting too because you're very colorful. Even your glasses are multicolored, and you've worn a ton of colors on the show, and you even had that. I called it the Fruity Pebble sweater because it looked like.
Yeah, I love that.
Whatever happened to the sweater? I thought that was going to be like the thing.
I love my sweater. I'm sure I'll wear it again.
Okay.
I wore it the whole time I was out there. I burned holes in it. I still have it. It's in my bedroom right now.
That's so funny.
But yeah, and it's interesting from a branding perspective when they help us with our clothing. I picked all those clothes are mine, and they help us.
You said one of the shirts was like you bought this in high school at a thrift store, and you never.
Yeah, my main shirt that I'm wearing it's a rainbow shirt. I bought it, I don't know, high school or my first year of college or something at a thrift store. And so it was interesting when we first saw ourselves, in our work clothes, in our tribe clothes. I was like, oh, this guy is going to be, super. I already know he's the loud guy because he's wearing the loudest shirt. And a lot of people, to be honest, thought that I was going to be, this is kind of funny. They thought because they dressed me all in rainbow, oh, this is going to be a big lesbian story. So it's interesting how, the public perceive, and this is what makes branding so important is, you've got to get your branding right so people get the right impression. Spoiler alert, I am straight. I just love rainbow and I just love color.
It's allowed. It's allowed.
Right. It's just the glasses. I'm wearing rainbow today. I guess I didn't realize how much I wear rainbow, how much I love color until I got out there and everyone was like, wow, I love your sweater. I love your shirt. Your glasses are rainbow. I didn't realize how much I love color, but I guess it's just a part of me, and branding yourself, you have to be true to yourself, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
I
no,
gotta
that's so
say that
funny.
I realized how much you loved color even when we first met. I think it was at BJ's, the restaurant there in Florida. We walked in and you guys were sitting there. You'd already eaten, and that's when the first time that I had the opportunity to meet you. And you were very colorful then as well.
Yeah, I used to wear all black. I think it's pretty easy to wear all black,
Yeah,
right? And I realized the older I got, the more I was like, I don't want to look like everyone else. I can be a little braver and wear some color, and it's just become part of me, I guess. And even my little square here, my
yeah,
rectangle, I've got to have a little pop of color here.
yeah.
I find it to be the easiest way to stand out.
No,
I
that's
I
cool.
love it. I and your nickname is the Fresh Princess, which I just love, like the callback to the Fresh Prince. And you're so good at the branding of it. Like even the little shape behind your name on the screen. It's so 90s and it just works.
Yeah, rocking the backwards hat, I mean, you definitely
Right.
got the look nailed. And
Thank you.
I know, and I love it because I mean, I am from the 90s. I grew up in the 80s and 90s because I'm a lot older than anybody else in this call. But but I love the way that you've taken it and you've owned it. And I'm curious in establishing that brand. And you mentioned before that, and I don't remember if we'd hit record yet, but you were talking about how if you weren't the expert that you are at the email marketing, you would have never landed on
Mhm.
Survivor.
Right.
Talk to us a little bit more about that. I mean, we could talk about Survivor all day up to the point of where we have NDAs, but we want to make sure that we get a little bit of branding insight here too. How did you leverage that brand and your expertise in email marketing to make yourself stand out and make those connections?
Yeah. So actually, this email marketing thing is my third business. So I made all the mistakes in the businesses that I sold. My first business was an RV travel blog. And in it, I was still Liz Wilcox. I can never not be myself, but it was a more toned down version. My ideal client and customer was a man in his 60s. So maybe, I didn't have in sync in the background, right?
Which is a
That
shame.
was right, that was not relatable. Maybe I was talking more about how my first concert was Aerosmith versus, "Oh my gosh, I wish I could have gone to an NSYNC concert."
Like,
But
aren't they doing a comeback tour or something?
I mean, that's a rumor
Okay.
that I am trying to manifest for the last 5 years.
I went
So
to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. So
yeah, they do BSB. They never went on a hiatus like NSYNC. But anyway,
I'm
that's
waiting
where
for
I
Color Me Bad personally. If Color Me Bad ever does a reunion
Okay,
tour,
yes.
I'm
That
definitely
would be
down.
awesome.
So,
I also love Boys to Men,
yeah,
and those 2 groups really influenced, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, One Direction, like,
yeah,
very heavily.
yeah.
So, I was talking about something important.
I
Oh,
think we're
yeah,
talking about
so
email and
the
selling your
yeah.
first business was your RV blog.
Yeah, and so with the emails, I got really good at learning how to connect with these people on my email list and leaning into that and leaning into a brand that was very relatable for my ideal customer. But I just realized after a few years, I had leaned a little too far this way. I didn't really care that much about these brand pillars that I had created. And so I knew when I was going to sell that blog, whatever I did next was going to be 100% Liz Wilcox, right? And that I was going to only attract the people I wanted to work with. And that served me really well. Of course, I can show up today, like basically completely unprepared. I had no idea I was even wearing a rainbow sweater, that my hat was backwards. Like I really just am who I am. And so I can just, show up to a live like this and be on brand, so to speak, because the brand is very much who I am and who I
Yeah.
choose to embody in the world. And as far as like being able to take a step back, having such a strong brand really helps you stay top of mind, which is, the number one thing you need in your business, right? If I'm For example, like Coke and Pepsi, right? I live in Florida. A lot of people drink Coca-Cola. So when I'm in Florida, I'm drinking Coca-Cola if I'm going to get a soda from the fountain, right? But when I'm in Michigan, Pepsi spends a lot of marketing dollars outside of Detroit because they bottle in Detroit. And
Yep.
so almost everyone their drinks Pepsi. And so guess what I'm drinking over there? Pepsi, because that's what people are buying. That's what's, available at restaurants. I know I hate Pepsi. I think it's so gross. But if I'm going to drink something, that's what they're offering me, right? It's top of mind. And so when you have your brand dialed in the way that I did, I was able to take those 90 days off. I was still top of mind. When someone needed newsletter templates or email marketing help, they wanted to listen to a podcast about email, they thought Liz Wilcox, even when I wasn't there, because the branding, the email automations, etc., were so strong.
That's awesome. I aspire to be you at this point.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Can I mention one more thing?
Yeah.
About that staying top of mind and branding? Part of my brand is also like very semi-pro. Like my Instinct poster, I notice it's like crooked right now. Like the mic, it could probably be placed a little better so it's not cutting out, all this other stuff. My sister, she says it drives her crazy that I have a dresser on this side and not on that side. And so I tend to be only semi-pro. And also part of that is being incredibly transparent. That's one of my brand values.
Yeah.
And so while I couldn't tell people I was going on Survivor, I did tell them, and I walked them through the process of me leaving for a few months. And part of the branding was, well, now I'm going to take you to summer school. I'm taking the summer off, but now my assistant, while I'm away, is going to show you the ins and outs of everything we've done the last 4 months so that Liz can take time off. And really leaning into your brand values and being an embodiment of that helps you also stay top of mind, even when you take a vacation.
I'm semi-pro, but I like to think that I'm pro. Because everything has to be so perfect. I mean, I'm upset right now that my mic is actually visible. So it's a little frustrating. But I mean, even if you look at my background, I've got light bulbs that sit on the outer frames of or outer edges of the frame. And they're both covered up just a fraction of an inch on both sides. Everything has to be so precise. And my bookshelf in the back, it's level with the camera. It has to be, everything.
The hat has to be 15 degrees.
15 degrees to the right. I mean, it's got to be, you notice the center line of the hat. Where is it? Right there. And then my nose is here. So it's always got to be that same distance.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
giving Curtis Jackson 50 Cent.
Yeah.
I love it.
But then I am like you. Like I just show up, and I don't know, for the longest time my mic was actually backwards and the shore was upside down, and I had a meeting with one of my friends that's also a producer, and he's like, can you please fix it because it's driving me crazy? But I'm the same way. Like I worked in finance and I was just not myself, and I was leaning really into this personality of the financial professional that just wasn't me. So I left that industry. I launched Favorite Daughter. Everything is pink. Like I may have like overcorrected because I put everything is pink. I wear pink everywhere I go if I'm like on brand. And it's the same thing. But then I also am like, I'm not going to be perfect. And if you want someone that's going to show up perfectly, I don't want you to work with me.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. And it's funny. I love what Larry said about like, oh, I'm professional, but I want to be semi-pro or whatever.
Yeah.
My sister tends to tell me when I make the joke about semi-pro, she's like, actually, Liz, like you're very professional and you like pretend to be semi-pro. Like now you've done it so many times, like you're actually, truly professional. And I've even noticed that so I just redid my membership site. We celebrated 3 years of having the membership, and I was like, I've got to upgrade this site. This site is so unprofessional. Like it's breaking. I think it had like once it hit like 3,000 users, the site just really started having more glitches. So I needed to upgrade. And I noticed when I was redoing a lot of my trainings, because I do so much professional speaking now, that the semi-pro was kind of gone. But I had to reel it back in. And, we joke about semi-pro, but I had to realize like my brand isn't being semi-professional. It's being fun, lighthearted, relatable. And so, I I relaxed a little bit, like slumped down, like move the mic a little bit, instead of this kind of buttoned up. And, I made sure like if I was stumbling over my words, like I just made a joke about it instead of hitting record or pausing it to take a break. I just say, hey, I'm just going to keep going. I flubbed that word up, but you get what I'm saying. Anyway, da, da, da. So I have to practice really does make perfect. And I know my brand isn't, it's the opposite of being perfect. And so, sometimes I have to remember to like loosen up, get a soda, Coca-Cola preferably, and let my
Sponsor
hair
us.
down, so to speak. Yeah.
Come on, Coca-Cola.
Sponsored by Coca-Cola.
This is under contract with Coca-Cola thanks to a relationship on Survivor. So.
Right. Shout out to
Brand
Fanta and the
deals.
gang. Shout out to Fanta and the gang.
It's funny though, because I see similarities there in that, when I first started developing my personal brand, the red hat really started taking off. I was known as the red hat guy, and I always wore hoodies. But as the brand continued to grow, and as I started landing more professional gigs on bigger stages in front of higher profile business owners and some people with some money that have real businesses, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm starting to feel I'm feeling intimidated to wear the red hat and the hoodie. So I upgraded. So now whenever you see me, I've got a nice little 3/4 zip pullover that's always branded and it's embroidered. So it's interesting to see how, as the evolution of my brand has grown, I've felt the influence to evolve along with it. When if you think about it, that's not what brought me to the dance. What brought me to the dance was the freaking hoodie and the hat. Now I still always wear the hat. I'll never go anywhere without the hat. It doesn't matter what stage I'm on, but I have, shied away from the hoodie because it just didn't quite feel as professional as it needed to be on a entrepreneurs organization stage or a Dallas business broker stage. They just seem a little too pro. And Sarah and I, we even go back and forth because, we have branded as an LLC together. And this branding that you see here on the podcast is on everything. It's on our proposals. It's on our contracts. It's on our pitch decks. It's on everything. And some of the clients that we've been landing as of late have been a little more polished and a little more, I'll call them professional looking. So I feel inclined to make our proposals, shed some of that color, shed some of that pink, make it look a little more standardized, a little more corporate. And that's causing a little contention from time to time.
It's not contention. So it's interesting though, because we have 3 brands together. Like I have Favorite Daughter, he has Red Hat, and together we have branded, and they have 3 different personalities. So when we talk to those more corporate clients, I'm like, all right, just talk to them as Red Hat. And then I'll just work with you under your branding. And if it's a very they're going to like everything being pink, then we talk to them as Favorite Daughter. So we're able to just pick the brand that fits the audience.
I love that.
It took us a while to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I think we were even doing it subconsciously, just this is a really fancy people. We're going to go as Red Hat. We didn't even think it through. But that's kind of what it's become, is just pick whichever brand resonates with the audience. And that's what we lead with. Because we're going to do the same great work regardless of what logo is on the contract. So I don't know. It's been really interesting to be able to have those different brands and still be ourselves under them.
Yeah, and you can look at the difference in the setups. It's Sarah colorful and geometric, and I'm over here. It's all dark, and it's like I'm in the Bat Cave, and it's it's just a entirely different scenario, but it reflects our personalities, just like you're talking about there, Liz.
Yeah, I love that.
I really want to. So one of the things when I think of people going on reality TV, and like you said, Survivor and reality TV, they're very different. This isn't you went on The Bachelor, but as someone who religiously watches The Bachelor, one of the conversations is always did you just go on this for clout and for Instagram followers? And I know you didn't. This is not an accusation.
Yeah.
But I am curious, what your thoughts were around that. I'm going to go on this show. How is this going to impact my personal brand outside of the show? Because you've talked about how you've branded yourself on it, but how is it impacted outside of it?
Yeah. I love that Sarah's asking this question, because Reddit, is convinced that I went on Survivor to grow my business. But those people have clearly never heard of Facebook ads. And I think that would have been a lot cheaper and easier to grow my business with Facebook ads than to spend 6 months trying to get on a reality show, flying to Fiji, not eating for X amount of days. I can't tell you how many. And going home and trying to physically and mentally recover from that. There are clearly those people aren't business owners because there are way easier ways to make money and grow your business than to get cast on Survivor. Getting cast on Survivor was clearly just an ego thing. I wanted to do it. It sounded cool. And I love making money. Why not make money? Why not make $1 million in 26 days? We'll see if I do it. So as far as how is this working with my brand, or did I even think about it? I didn't really think about it until, my sister, my, friends and colleagues like you guys, oh, this is going to be so good for your business. And my immediate, before I even went on the show, was this is going to hurt my business. Number one, I'm having to take time off, and being, a very personally branded company, when you disappear, does the revenue disappear? Right. So I thought, oh, this could possibly hurt my business. And then I think we mentioned it at the top of the hour. I don't have any control over my edit. If you are not watching the show, I am coming off as a very arrogant, aloof, very rich person. On Twitter, the running gag is rumored billionaire Liz Wilcox. And then, whatever, right? Like someone tagged me the other day and it said, rumored billionaire Liz Wilcox, will you please bring the sun back after the eclipse? And I just reposted it and was like, it is done.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it is done. And I put a picture of the sun or something. And so some people are having fun with it, but some people, obviously a lot of people have money mindset issues. And so a lot of people are not liking the fact that I talked about owning 4 businesses, right? Even though I've never been shown on the show saying anything about how much money I make,
right,
what I sold the businesses for, et cetera, et cetera. And so I knew coming out that this could possibly hurt my brand, because my whole business is around helping people make money. My whole business is about caring about your success. And honestly, the first couple episodes, I looked the opposite. I looked money hungry. Again, like I said, arrogant, aloof. And so, we're still in the middle of things. It's to be determined. But I will say I mostly thought that this would hurt my business, not enough to not do it, because I know myself, I'm comfortable with myself. I've built a very strong brand that is very connected to my audience and has a strong knit community. But I will say in those first 2 episodes, I was asked to be on about 5 or 6 podcasts because they mentioned me saying my full name, and they mentioned me saying exactly what I do. I help people make money on the internet through email. I couldn't believe that they put that sound clip, because that's exactly what I do, in a nutshell. Yeah. And so I did get a lot of people joining my email list, asking me for advice. I couldn't believe it. I did not go on the show for that. Like I said, Facebook ads, way easier to do than competing in the jungle for $1 million without food.
Are you sure?
But if that, huh?
Are you sure? I feel like, with all the algorithms, it's got to be.
Oh, right. I mean, honestly, I've never run a Facebook ad, but I imagine it's easier. But I was on Survivor, and that was incredibly difficult. So, I can't hire someone to play Survivor for me, but I can hire someone to run Facebook ads for me.
That's fair.
Well, in all fairness, they do say that quite often on Shark Tank. When people go on Shark Tank and they don't really feel like they're there for a deal, they're just there to get that attention and get that ad. So that same mentality probably carries over to other reality show contestants as well.
Yeah. And I could see, and especially with my business, Larry, Sarah, and I, we all have like personally branded businesses, right? And so I was getting a lot of flack, and I guess I probably still am. I've stopped looking about, oh, this season has a lot of influencers. But people that really dig in, they're like, actually, Liz seems to be the only one that seems to be making money from an online community, and her community is really small. Like, she's only got, I think at the time my Instagram before the show premiered had around 4,000 people, and I actually had a lot of people like hundreds of people DMing me and finding my phone number and leaving me voicemails about me being a scammer, and there's no way I can be making this much money because my social media following is so small.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, clearly you don't know anything about email marketing or business. So like delete, archive, ignore.
It's hilarious because I thought I made it the other day, because shortly after Podfest, there was a post on that was brought to my attention. I think it was on Rumble, and I don't visit Rumble ever. So, but someone said, hey, somebody over on Rumble saying that Larry Roberts is a fraud. Discuss. And I was like, oh, this is so cool.
You made it, baby. I know. I feel the same, Larry. I feel
Spoiler
like
alert, no one discussed.
Yeah, no one.
There was no discussion.
I went and I posted. I said, okay, let's discuss, and nothing. So I guess I'm not that big. But
that's so funny. Well, if you go to Reddit and you search Survivor Liz, a lot of people are discussing how I own a multi-level marketing company and I sell snake oil.
nice.
And so, like, back to Sarah's question of like the brand and being on the show,
Yeah.
I think right now it's taken a little hit, but only from the public that aren't actually my customers. What I'm seeing in my community is people are actually doubling down on me, which has been like honestly super amazing. And I'm so incredibly grateful for my community. Because I can't believe they're showing Liz like this. Liz is the opposite. She's very caring. She's helped me do XYZ. Oh, somebody actually got banned from the Survivor subreddit because they were defending me. They said it was their first comment ever. And they said, oh, actually, I've been a customer of Liz's for a few years. I was a private client of hers. She's the real deal. And they banned her immediately from the subreddit.
Yeah, Reddit, I steer clear of Reddit. Always.
I don't think I've ever even been on Reddit, but it seems like a cesspool.
It's a scary place.
I mean, I'm a Survivor fan, so I was on there, discussing the show beforehand, but I'm definitely trying to steer clear of it right now. But I think overall it should enhance my brand, maybe not for customer base, but for my authority to get into, online publications and things like that.
That's super cool. I gotta ask though, now that you've done Survivor, and obviously we're still doing Survivor, but you've been there, you've done that, you got the t-shirt and the Fruity Pebble sweater. Are we gonna see you on Naked and Afraid?
I don't know.
What is next?
Probably not. I'm not much, on the island, and I'm allergic to everything. But I could eat crabs. And so we would try to go crabbing every day. And I could not catch a crab literally for my life. I tried so hard. So I don't think I would get cast on Naked and Afraid because I'd starve to death.
If not Survivor, like, was there like a second choice? Like, was there another show you've thought about?
Survivor's the only show I've ever wanted to be on, because it's not even I didn't want to be on the show. I wanted to play Survivor.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the show. A lot of people out there, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm on Survivor. And I'm like, some of y'all are on Survivor and some of y'all are playing Survivor. I'm playing Survivor. So I didn't really care about the show at all. I just wanted to play the game. I'm an incredibly competitive person. That's probably why I've been able to grow my membership so well and so quickly. I just have that very ambitious spirit. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be interested in another reality show, I guess unless the rumored billionaire would say if the pay was okay, I would do it.
Everyone's got a prize.
Right.
I don't know if you can answer this, if you're allowed to, and you don't have to give names. The people who seemed more like I'm on Survivor versus I'm playing Survivor, how did they fare in the actual competition?
Yeah, no comment.
Okay. I figured I had to ask though.
Yeah.
No,
we all did our best.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of all of us.
But I love your strategy right now because I've never picked up on any of the negativity that's surrounding you and your appearance on the show. I think you've been extremely strategic in your approach. You've been pretty quiet. You're not really standing out. You're not really offending anybody. And then, last night when the merger happened and your team lost, and now there's a potential really for Liz to be brought into the limelight, they never even mentioned your name. So you're playing a nice strategic game there where nobody feels like they're threatened yet. And you're not standing out. You're not offending anybody. So far, I think you've done an amazing job. So good job.
Thank
there.
you.
Reddit
Again, no
disagrees,
comment, but I hope.
No, I got you. I just wanted to get that out there. So, hey, Liz, before we wrap this thing up, man, where can people find you and learn more about you and your business other than Reddit?
Yeah, so I would love for you to join my email list. Obviously, you can go directly to lizwilcox.com. In the top right-hand corner, there's a hot pink button. You can't miss it. It's going to give you everything you need to get your email marketing set up. It's going to give you a welcome sequence so you can guide new leads into customers. It's going to give you 3 newsletter samples from my membership. And it's going to give you 52 subject lines for a year full of prompts. Writing from scratch totally sucks. Let me do it for you. LizWilcox.com, hot pink button.
And we have a direct link to that. It's called the swipe file. And so we'll have that in the show notes as well, so everyone can check it out.
Cool deal. Well, Liz, thank you once again for joining us. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I can't wait to see what everybody does with email.
Sweet. Hey, everybody, if you got some value out of this episode, and I know you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button so we can continue to bring you these amazing episodes, these amazing guests. I mean, Liz Wilcox of Survivor was here. It's amazing. Tune in next week. We'd love to talk to you. So with that, I'm Larry Roberts.
I'm Sarah Losi, and we will never vote Liz off the island.